So Liverpool has just won the Premier League. Wrexham has just been promoted to the Championship. The Conclave is still going on in search of the new Pope, and the BRICS are expanding. Welcome to our latest episode of the La Project with me, your host Han Royani, and my co-host
What's up?
BJ. So there's a lot that has happened over the last week. I mean, every week.
Yeah, I like to start by apologizing.
Well, yeah.
To you. Not apologizing, but I guess conveying my condolences for United's title chances.
I think we.
Although I think I've been giving condolences to United fans over the last 15 years. It seems like. So
Yeah,
it's sad. It's sad.
It's super sad.
And it's Liverpool winning the title, which is, I think, like, once you take one knife to the heart, it's like another knife coming in sideways into the heart. Yeah.
Yep.
So like that, but it is what it is. I was once a United fan. I gave up after like 2-3 years of them losing. So I was like, okay, this sport. No, I was like, this club first.
Okay.
I was still playing football.
Right.
And I was like, after a while, I was like, these guys. And then go play something else.
First of all, congratulations, of course, to
the Liverpool guys.
To the Liverpool fans.
Shout out. We got some friends out there who are diehard Liverpool supporters.
Yes.
Both friends of Han and I. One is even a relative of Han. And we like to convey our congratulations. Well deserved. Liverpool played great football.
Well deserved.
They played great football.
Yes.
They deserve it. Yep.
Yeah, Arne Slot has really worked wonders in his first season as a Liverpool coach.
Yep.
I mean, like, it's to be expected, I think, like, because they have some really good players with the likes of Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, all these players. And good news for them, like Van Dijk and Mo Salah is like extending their contract at the club.
Nice.
Yeah. So
and apparently they have another £250 million war chest to play with this summer.
Yeah. So,
which is going to be interesting for them. Going to be really interesting for them.
I mean, as a United fan, I hate it, but I mean, we talked about this on like previous, on one of our previous episode where, I
think it was the last or second last episode of season 1.
Yeah.
I think it was.
So being a United fan, we talked about like us being like pasrah, because we've been going through this maybe over the last 10 years or so. But this year is exceptionally bad. We've had some good results in the Europa League. But
this year?
This year, we're in the semi-final of the Europa League. So that's one thing that's going well for us. So hopefully if we win the Europa League, we'll get to join the Champions League next year, because there's no way United, if we lose in the Europa League, there's no way we're going to be able to even compete in the Europa League or Champions League.
Yeah, right
because
now United is
15th.
15th, huh? Damn.
15th.
Might be relegated, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Like there were even like talks about like if we lost like the remaining games, we might even get relegated. But it's the chances are slim.
Yep.
But
there've been a lot of talk about that. Like some fans blame the players. Some fans blame the manager.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
It's a bit of both. Manager, players, and also I think the board. The management.
Right.
I feel like there are so many things that has happened because in terms of United's style of play, we change every time we replace our managers. So right now we are having...
There's no United identity.
Yeah, there's no United identity. Like back when it was Sir Alex Ferguson's time, we had a distinct style of play.
Yep.
We had like this mentality where you play until like the last minute. And that is something that is still going on today, I feel like in United. But in terms of style of play, in terms of management, in terms of the ownership, there's so many things that could be improved. Even the condition of the stadium is terrible nowadays. Like I've seen videos where when it was like raining heavily, like
leakage.
Yeah, leakage, like heavy water like goes through the roof and into the seats. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in Old Trafford. So, that's it's a sad state.
It is.
I'm a loyal fan, unlike someone else on this podcast.
Technically, I'm a loyal fan too, Like, I have not supported any other football team, technically.
Okay. But
technically, I've divorced myself completely from football.
Okay. Because you're so heartbroken.
I wouldn't say that. Like, I just lost interest, I guess. Like, I never tied too much of my emotions to United. I was a big fan, of course, especially in the... started becoming a big fan in the David Beckham days.
Right.
And then all the way up until Cristiano Ronaldo left.
The Rooney era.
No, I was never a fan of Rooney.
What?
I think we've spoken about this, but Rooney is, to me, the worst great English striker there is. You know what I mean? No, not the worst English striker there ever was, but he's the worst great English striker there ever was.
Dude, he's one of the greatest English strikers ever.
Yes, agreed. But he's the worst out of all the greatest. You understand what I mean?
In terms of striker or in terms of English strikers?
English strikers.
No.
Yeah.
Bro.
Who's better than him? Who's worse? Who's worse than him? Harry Kane's better as a goal scorer.
No. I mean, Harry Kane scores more goals, but Rooney, he creates, he defends, he scores. Dude, his mentality at United is what we are missing nowadays. He would fight for every blade of grass on the pitch.
Didn't stop him from being overweight.
I mean, if you're that good,
I'm not a fat shamer, but you're a professional footballer.
Dude, he's not.
There are standards.
Sure, there are standards, but when you are of a certain level, that doesn't really change a lot. Look at Ronaldo Nazario, phenomenal.
Yeah,
he was overweight,
but when he got fat, when he got like real overweight, his performances dipped.
I mean, when he got real overweight, yeah, sure.
If you look at Ronaldo and Messi, the Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, they maintain their physique, and because of that, they've maintained their level of play.
Okay, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi
outliers?
No, they're outliers. They are of a different standard.
Fair enough.
They're
if
like,
you want to say that.
They're of a different level, I would say. The GOATs.
Fair enough.
But people that are probably just below their level, like Ronaldo Nazario, I think, and maybe Wayne Rooney down the line, they're still like incredible players, even though they're a bit overweight.
Not gonna get any disagreement out of me. I agree. I completely agree.
Ronaldo Nazario at Real Madrid, when he was overweight, he scored a hat-trick against United at the Champions League, bro.
Agreed.
You don't need to be...
However, it was, I think, a different time of football. And especially football in today's world is played at a very, very high physical level. Even compared to 10 years ago. Like nowadays, if you want to be a successful team, as Liverpool just proved last night, or over the course of the season, you have to run. Like running is now probably the most crucial part, physical attribute of the sport. The stamina part of it. Dude, like being able to cover distance, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Dude, Rooney was, you can say, overweight, but he runs, dude.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But I don't think he could play in today's football.
Nah.
I don't think he could.
No, I think if he were to adapt in today's game, he would be more of a central midfielder, I think.
Maybe.
Because maybe he's not as fast as some of the other strikers like Mbappe or Dembele, all these strikers.
For sure.
But he can definitely create.
He can, but I think he would be more of a Mesut Ozil type player.
Yeah.
You know?
Still, Mesut Ozil is a great...
but he wasn't a great runner though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was a pull the strings magician kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know, which also had his value. I'm not saying these players don't have value. I'm just saying that Wayne Rooney, just to get it clear to you guys, Wayne Rooney is the worst great English striker there ever was.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I cannot. Okay.
He is an embarrassment to all great English strikers. Great English strikers. Yeah. I mean, come on. You played at a high level. You played at United. You played with so many great midfielders and setup people for England. Yet you can only score 49 goals?
Dude, even before Rooney...
It was 48, I know.
It was 48.
Yeah,
and it was, I think, Bobby Charlton or something like that. A record that has been going for 50 plus years.
Yeah, exactly.
And Rooney broke that record. And
by one goal.
Mm-hmm. But he was much more than a striker, man. He creates, he runs, you know, he can play on the wings, you know, during his time at United, the first
he did.
When Cristiano Ronaldo was at his peak.
Yep.
He could play at the wing, he can play in midfield. everywhere you put him, he can still perform, man. Yeah, and like it's
I don't disagree.
it's crazy the disrespect that Rooney gets. He's one of the all-time greats.
I didn't
bro.
say I don't disagree. He's just one of the, like, if there are top 100 players to ever play football, he's probably number 99.
Bro.
If you have that list, and to be honest with you, to have ever played football, I don't think he even sniffs the top 200. If you're talking about top players to ever play football across history, everyone.
I would argue he's maybe top 100, top 80, maybe.
Nah.
Yeah, no. Dude.
If we are shrinking the list
look at his accomplishments. He's won multiple Premier Leagues. He's won the Champions League. He's won FA Cups. Sure, he didn't win anything with England, but at one point he broke the goal scorers top goal scoring record.
Yep.
And he was like,
but England, when it comes to England, before we go further, when it comes to the English national football team, they also have very low standards, to be honest. They are supposedly the inventors of football, but they've only won the World Cup once.
Yeah.
It was at a time when it was a team of mostly United players, like 7 of them were United players, and the other 4 were from other teams.
It's at 1966.
66, correct.
Last time
you know. So I don't know. I just feel like England is past its prime in every way nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, football, when it comes to sports, politics, immigration, healthcare.
Overhyped.
Talk about it. Weather. How about the weather?
Oh,
it has the worst weather in the world. Don't go to the UK, guys. Sorry, Mel. I know you studied there. It's all good.
I mean, I enjoyed the weather, but it's not the greatest weather. You know what I mean? It's so gloomy and it's so cold. But anyway.
How do you get sunshine 90 days in a year?
Dude, I remember.
And nothing more than that. When you have 365 days and you only got sunshine 90 days. Dude, that's crazy, dude.
I was in, I studied in the UK for a few years.
Yeah, I know.
And
you grew up there, basically.
I grew up there. Yeah. And it's so cold there. At one point during the summer, it was like supposedly the hottest time, the hottest period in English history.
Okay, what was the temperature?
They called it a heat wave.
Okay.
It was 22 degrees.
English people, and stay at home. 22 is the heat wave, stay at home.
I'm like, that's cute, bro. Like,
that's cute, yeah.
People were like walking on the street like with their shirt off, like, oh my god, it's so hot.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro.
Like my brother, one of my brothers, like me and my youngest brother, we both went to Australia to study.
Right.
The other one, the middle child, he went to Liverpool. He studied in the University of Liverpool. So he was like me and my brother, we both went to Queensland. Very tropical weather.
Yeah.
It gets cold, but it never snows. During winter, it gets to like what? 9, 8 degrees.
Okay.
Which is cold for me. You know, I'm a sun guy. So it's cold. And then when we meet up with my brother in the summer and we tell him like, yo, you know, like sejuk gila Brisbane apa semua kan. And then he's like, what's the temperature? 9, 8, like right in the middle of the coldest. Dude, I can wear just a sweater in that weather. I'm like, crazy or what?
Crazy.
Like, dude, no.
Dude,
that cannot be normal people. Though.
Exactly. They come here to Malaysia, they melt, bro.
They melt. Yeah.
Anyway, while we're talking about football, also I wanted to say congratulations to Wrexham. Do you know about this? Wrexham, so over the
This is the club that's owned by Ryan Reynolds, right?
Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney.
Yep.
So basically, they bought the club when it was still in League 2. So the first few years, the first
League
2 years,
2 is the fourth
division.
Yep.
So over the last 3 years, they actually were promoted 3 times in a row. So from League 2 every year.
Oh wow!
So from League, they won League 2.
So you're in like what Division 1 now?
Now they're in the Championship. Yeah.
Oh.
If they win the Championship or they get promoted, they'll be in the Premier League. Yeah. So it's crazy, like how much progress they've had over the last maybe 4 years, you know, and it's a small club in Wales, actually. And the fact that Ryan Reynolds spent all this money, you know, he created a documentary.
Yep.
To
it's on Amazon, right?
I'm not sure if it's on Amazon.
I think I saw it on Amazon. It was either Amazon or HBO or something.
Yeah, it's like Welcome to Wrexham, I think.
Yes.
So it's one of the oldest clubs in the UK, actually.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably the 3rd oldest club in the UK.
They're in where do you say? Wales?
Wales. Yeah. Okay. In the UK, they're one of the oldest clubs. So I think that's what attracted people like Ryan Reynolds to buy the club.
Right.
They've had a long history, and now they are bringing them back to the Premier League, which is a crazy.
They've never been in the Premier League, right?
I don't think they've been in the
Yeah.
Premier League. So this is a crazy accomplishment.
So this is like what Red Bull did with RB Leipzig a few years ago.
Similar
thing.
to that.
Yeah.
Similar to that.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great for football.
These
I
are
think.
always good stories.
Yes.
Although I think at least for Ryan Reynolds this year is going to be one of the few good news that he's had this year.
Yeah.
You heard about the whole Blake Lively thing
Oh yeah.
with Justin Baldoni.
Yeah. I heard
It
about
might
that.
be sexual assault. It might not be.
Yeah,
you know.
like who do you trust
Like
at this
suddenly
point?
evidence is on the director's side.
Yeah.
You know. But
So like
It
you
is what it
wanna trust you wanna Me Too and stuff. You wanna help
believe
out
the women.
Believe the women, but there are certain
I think we
proof.
should have a different phrase for that. I think we should
we
believe the
shouldn't say
evidence.
or believe the evidence.
Believe the evidence.
Yeah.
Like maybe like public should stay quiet until evidence comes out.
Mm.
Because like, okay, I know we don't have this in Malaysia technically, but there is the assumption of innocence. Like innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah.
You know, like while we don't have that codified in our laws, but I feel like that is the most humane way
Yeah.
to treat these situations,
Yeah,
you
to
know?
deal with this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes certain people can get unfairly treated
Yeah.
because like they're famous, so people use this opportunity to either get money from them.
That's what happened with the Weinstein
publicity.
thing. Dude, Harvey Weinstein?
Have you? Yeah.
You hear about that? Like lately, there have been investigative journalists been interviewing him from prison
Mhm.
because he's still in prison. I think he's in the
Yeah.
Supermax too. And apparently, when they've reviewed the court documents, he was actually not guilty of sexual assault. He was guilty of trading sexual favors, but not for sexual assault.
Okay, I understand.
So the sexual encounters did happen, but they were consensual.
Because
And
they
were promised.
a role,
Correct.
basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it can't be sexual assault. Like, yeah, it's abuse of power on his
Yes.
part. But if you want to say that it's sexual assault, it's kind of hard to do that if the other party was consensual. And
Mhm.
they were promised certain
Roles.
rules,
Projects,
yes,
yeah.
but they were promised essentially compensation in the
Okay.
form of roles or new projects or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even some of them were even promised, you sleep with me, you get an Oscar. I'll make sure you get an Oscar, right? And
I'm not surprised if
in
that
history,
actually happens.
that actually did happen.
Yeah.
You know? Like Salma Hayek was one of them. And she actually won an Oscar. You know?
Bro, I love Salma Hayek. Please don't.
No, I'm not saying she's not a great actress. Dude, this is the reality of the world we live in. Okay?
Yeah.
Even in Malaysia, let's not talk about sexual favors, okay?
Mhm.
But you have to know someone to get somewhere.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
You know what I mean? Even you yourself, you're involved in the theatre world, right?
Yeah.
You gotta know somewhere to get somewhere. Know someone to get somewhere.
Unfortunately, that is true.
But that's not like people in Malaysia, like especially the people who lose out on opportunities, they like to blame that, you know, on losing out opportunities.
Yeah.
But they like to say, oh, this only happens in Malaysia. Oh, biasalah Malaysia, this kind of thing happens. But
It's everywhere.
to be quite honest, it happens everywhere. You know, it's a function of human interaction, like nafsu. You know, like
yeah.
it's within you.
Yeah.
You know, it's within every human being. Every human being is corruptible to some extent.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what the price is.
Yes.
Be it monetary or not.
Everyone has their agenda.
Something.
Whether they
Yeah.
want
Has
to
their
be in
interest.
movies, they
Yeah.
want to win awards.
Yeah.
So it's how much you are willing to compromise. How
Yeah.
much of your
Yeah.
integrity are you willing to compromise
Yeah.
in order to get your goals? But
Correct. And the whole Harvey Weinstein thing has recently come to light. And I think it just shows that you have to believe the evidence, and you can't necessarily believe the media for what they put out. Like wholly, you know? Like I feel like you have to go in and, you know, if you really care about the truth, you have to really try and get to it somehow.
yeah.
You know? Like
But I feel like the fact that so many women has come out I feel like maybe there are some truth to it. Okay, maybe a lot of them
I don't think there was
were
a
sexual
thing-
favors.
Not in court lah. At least he wasn't convicted in court for sexual assault.
Okay.
Yeah, he was convicted in court for abuse of power and I can't remember what they term it as lah. But there was no the sexual assault charges were actually dropped before verdict. You know, so even the prosecution felt like they didn't have enough evidence to prove it in court at least. Even if it did happen, you know, but at the very least the prosecutors didn't feel like they had enough money, enough evidence.
But anyway, speaking of sexual assault and abuse of power, the conclave is going on right now.
What a segue, dude. Holy I gotta clap for that. Wow. I did not see that coming though. We didn't plan that. I honestly, we didn't plan that. Like, we knew we were going to talk about conclave today, but holy that wasn't excellent.
I'm like, the topic that we're talking about, okay.
That was excellent. Oh, dude, you're turning into a pro, dude. You're turning into a pro, dude. Holy that was cool.
Okay, so about the conclave, you know, obviously the news broke last week that Pope Francis just passed away. So right now in the Vatican, they are doing this process called the conclave. It's the process of where they are about to select the new Pope. Basically.
So the conclave has not started yet. Conclave, I think there is another week. Right now is so what happens is when the Pope dies, I'll highlight some of the interesting traditions that they do.
Right.
So to verify that a Pope has died, do you know how they verify it? Because I think we spoke about it. I think we spoke about it last week where you can't actually have
you can't touch the body of
postmortem. Or autopsy. So what actually happens is that the priest's aide, the Pope's aide, which is called who is called the Pope's Camerlengo. Camerlengo means Chamberlain. So if you are familiar with military titles, when you are a high-ranking military officer, like a colonel, general, whatever, you are assigned in the barracks. You or in army base, you're assigned like your own house. And all that, you know. In Malaysia at least. So the higher ranking officers, the colonels and generals, they are given their own house and usually with aides to come with it. So you have servants, and then you also have military aides who come in. One of them is responsible for giving your briefings, your official briefings for the day, and another one is I don't know if they still do it today, but another one is responsible for shining your shoes and making sure your military garb is all in order. You have all your badges and everything's on there for whatever official thing that you have to attend.
So these people manage the Pope to do his biddings.
So the Chamberlain is essentially his chief of staff. If you want to call it that, okay?
Sure.
So he's the main aide. So this Camerlengo, what he has to do during when he thinks the Pope is dead, he has to take a hammer, like a small wooden hammer, like a toy hammer, and he has to knock. I'm sorry, I'm not meant to laugh. It's not a funny thing, but he's meant to knock the Pope on the head 3 times. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be funny. It's just I'm explaining.
Are you serious?
Yeah. This is how they verify the Pope's dead. So you're supposed to knock the Pope on the head 3 times with this wooden hammer, and if he doesn't call out or respond, then he's dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know if that's disrespectful or
it's tradition. So I don't think we can call it disrespectful because that's how they've always done it. So
they're just like playing the drums on the Pope's head. Like,
I don't think that's how it is. but yeah, when he like these things used to happen like 2-3 days after he died. You know. So like just to make sure that he's actually dead, then it's not like the moment of death you go and knock him on the head, you know. So it doesn't work that way. But there are rumors that in today's world there's a doctor that comes in and verifies and all that. But I don't know how true that is, and I don't know how much the doctor can do to actually verify that. Like I don't know if the doctor can actually look for a pulse, for example.
Because you cannot touch.
So I don't know about all that. So that is the verification of his death. So once once that happens, the knocking on the head with the 3 times with the hammer, once that happens, and it's verified that the Pope is dead, now you start the period of sede vacante, which means the seat is empty in Latin. Okay, so the seat of the Pope is empty. It has been vacated. So during the period of sede vacante, what they have to do is first, before conclave starts, the first 9 days of the Pope's death is mostly prayers, funeral processions, parade's not the right word, but basically processioning him around Rome, around the Vatican. Yeah, to prove that he's dead. Because you know these traditions happen in an era way before social media, right? So they had to find a way to get it out.
Understand?
Yeah, so this was one of the things they had to do. It's just like how back in the day in Malaysia, right? When we had a kampung wedding, the bride and groom had to berarak.
You're right.
Essentially have a procession from or go all around the kampung to show that okay, this is my wife or this is my husband and we are married. We are getting married today. Please come.
They call it the rombongan.
Correct.
Yes.
And nowadays it's still done somewhat, but only in observance of the tradition and not so much for its actual purpose, which was to publicize the fact that you are married. You know, so this is also the same case where today is done as a matter of tradition rather than matter of actually telling people that this is how the Pope died. Yeah. So for 9 days, right after the Pope dies, he is all this is being done: funeral processions, rites, prayers, and all that, led by the other cardinals. So cardinals are basically the highest ranking priests in Catholicism after the Pope. Okay, so each country has their own cardinal.
Okay, so there are a lot of them. Basically,
there are a lot of them. Yeah, so like even Pope Francis was, before he became Pope, he was the Pope of Argentina. He was the cardinal of Argentina.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's how. And essentially, these cardinals are the ones that are selecting within themselves during conclave.
Who will be the next?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So while it seems like it's a democratic process, because they say it's voting and all that, it's not as clear cut as that. Okay. So firstly, after the 9 days is done, conclave can only start on day 15.
After the death.
First day of conclave has to be day 15 after death of the Pope. Okay. So at day 15, they can only have one voting.
Oh.
On the first day, you can only have one voting.
Like you mean from one cardinal, they can only vote?
They can only have one round of voting. Okay, so I think before we get to that, I think I should explain what conclave actually is. Okay, conclave is a secret election. Okay, what is done is that what happens during conclave, when conclave is announced, the cardinals arrive from all around the world. I'm not sure exact amount of cardinals there are in the world today, but I think there are more than 75 cardinals.
Yeah, I think even if it's not a Muslim country, can they have a
Malaysia
cardinal?
has a cardinal, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So not all that powerful, but we still have a cardinal, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, so this what is done is that when the cardinals arrive in Vatican City, they are all locked inside the Sistine Chapel. Okay, the Sistine Chapel, if it sounds familiar to any of you, it's the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel is Michelangelo's.
Yeah, it's the
most renowned masterpiece. No, not that one.
Okay.
That one's in the capital.
Okay.
That one's in the capital. This is this is that was about to be gay. Right? But this is like that one's in the capital. But anyways, yeah, this is like Michelangelo's painting of he hand painted essentially the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and it's a masterpiece.
Yeah,
like you go in there and it's dark. It's only lit by candle.
All right.
It's only candlelit. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no electricity in there.
Mhm.
And it's only lit by candles on the sides, and at the altar there are candles lit up by people that actually go to the chapel to pray and all that lah.
Yeah.
And even in that dim semi-lit
Space,
environment,
Yeah.
when you look up, it's still like a ridiculous
Amazing.
masterpiece. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
completely amazing. Like, you just don't know how to react because like you see the detail. Like, mind you, that thing is like probably 90 feet in the air.
Yeah.
But you
But you
still
can
see
still see.
detail. You know, like it's incredible. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how was he able to, like,
I
go
think they
all the
use
way up?
scaffolding to do that.
Okay.
But still, it's a ridiculous
It's a masterpiece. Yeah.
So they are locked in the Sistine Chapel. It's just a small church, you know, like it's probably like 2 of these rooms.
Serious?
Yeah, it's not that big. It's not
Okay.
that big. It just has really high ceilings. But
Okay.
in terms of the actual space for parishioners, it's not that big. It's like 2 of these rooms.
Okay.
So
So the cardinals would all be in this room.
Yes.
And okay.
Yes. So essentially they are all locked in there. And what they have to do is they have to essentially decide on a pope, vote on a pope. So it's secret, meaning they cannot have any form of communication with the outside world.
Oh yes.
In fact,
yes.
if they are found that they do, they are completely stripped of all priestly titles.
Oh wow.
Not just of cardinalship, but you are completely excommunicated from the Catholic Church. Like, you cannot even be a priest anymore. Yeah, that's how bad it is.
Okay, I just want to ask a question because I think I've seen this in movies. During this process, is that the one where they would basically burn like coal or something like that, and
It's
then
incense.
Incense? So like the smoke that would come out would be like black or
white. Yeah,
black or white.
Yeah, correct.
Is
That is cool. But it's not just cool. There's like powders that you mix because so before I get to that,
sure.
The cardinals have to vote, and they have to get, in order to be anointed pope, you have to have gotten 2/3 of the vote. Yes, correct.
Okay. So that means the process can happen multiple times until they find.
There was a conclave that lasted 200 years.
What?
Yeah.
So for 200 years there was no pope?
Back in, I think it was like 1150 to 1350, something like that.
So there were no pope?
Yeah.
There was no pope at that point?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's something crazy, dude. Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can go on because they have a few other restrictions. One other restriction is that on the first day of conclave, you can only have 1 round of voting. Okay?
Yeah.
So when you vote, or when they vote, and no one name gets a 2/3 majority, right? So they have to burn the black smoke to essentially to tell the world that no pope has been chosen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is the first day. So first day, the cardinals are only allowed to vote 1 round. Okay? And then after that, voting is paused until the second day. Second day, you can only vote 4 times. 4 rounds of voting can happen. Only 4 rounds.
Second day, 4 rounds.
Same goes with third day, fourth day, and so on. So
it's 4
each day
rounds.
you can only have 4, except for the first day, which you only can have 1 round.
Okay.
Yeah. So essentially, it just keeps going on until someone is chosen. So it's black smoke after black smoke after black smoke. And then the only way the cardinals are let out of the Sistine Chapel is when the white smoke is coming out of the chimney to signify that a pope has already been chosen.
Okay, so then what about the period of when you mentioned there were 200 years of conclave? So then how did that work? Like how would...
They just stayed there.
Sorry? They just stayed there?
yeah.
So then if one of the cardinals pass away, then do they get another cardinal to replace him? Or?
Yeah. Okay, so back then, I'm not sure the exact regulations what they were like, but in today's world, if you are a cardinal above 80 and above years old, you cannot you are exempted from attending conclave.
Okay.
Yeah. So that works for 2 reasons. One is that you are sparing the older cardinals from actually how do you say,
possibly dying there?
That's one, but even dying on the way.
Right.
Because they come from all over the world.
It's a long journey.
You know. So that's one. But number two is that you are giving people or the cardinals with a skin in the game. Like, if you are a younger cardinal, right? If you are in your 40s, for example, and you have to vote during conclave, you essentially have to live with that pope that you chose for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
So you have skin in the game. So you're going to make the right decision. You're not going to pick a corrupt guy.
Yeah.
You know, that's the logic of it, at least. And so, you know, that these kind of things will happen. So when the white smoke comes out, the Pope is chosen.
Yeah.
And that's when you don't see the Pope until he comes out on his balcony.
Yeah.
And being introduced as a Pope. So that is,
Yeah.
and the Pope usually will be given a holy name.
Yeah.
Like Francis wasn't his name, Pope Francis. Like he had some other name. So that's why there's always like Pope Benedict the 16th.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I've
Pope
seen
Pius.
I've seen this
you know.
similar scene in a movie, Johnny English, I think.
Yeah. not the movie I thought you were going to cite, but okay. Yeah.
But I heard talks about, like, because you mentioned like all the cardinals are gonna go there and elect the new pope. I've even heard reports that we might even get an Asian pope.
Yeah, apparently one of the front runners this year is Filipino.
The
pope.
Filipino
cardinal.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
So he's one of the front runners. But I don't know how true this is, but there's always I'm a bit of a history guy, a history freak. So that's how I know about these kind of things. And Dan Brown is also one of my favorite authors. And he likes writing about pseudo fiction. Like, it's not completely fiction, but it's not completely truth either.
Yeah.
So it's
like the Da Vinci Code and all that.
Yeah, you know. So he developed, like, his plots develop from a base of actual history that goes into a fictitious plot.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
So that's always enamored me, and that's how I know about this kind of things. But yeah, it's a very, very, very interesting process. It's been around for more than 1,000 years.
Oh,
you know, so
it's
really cool that it's a process that's managed to withstand the test of time.
Yeah,
and even then, back in between like the 1400s to the 1600s, you're aware of the Reformation and the Renaissance era, right? Of the Catholic Church.
Yes.
So during the Dark Ages, there was a time when people were essentially buying, what do you call those things? Like, you could buy like forgiveness for your sins.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, it was like it looked like an actual university degree kind of thing. And like, you paid a certain amount of money to the church, and they would give you that, and signifying that, the church has absolved
your sins.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
so all your sins are gone. Yeah, so this was in like the late 1300s, early 1400s. Okay, so
it's not a practice that's still going
today?
on?
No. This was at the time when the church was corrupt, and we don't hear about this a lot because the Vatican, especially in today's world, has done very, very good things in PR. So they've essentially hidden
that
this
history.
Yeah. So I have another point, but I'll get to that after this. Okay. So when it comes to this kind of thing where essentially, sorry, what was I talking about again?
We were talking about conclave, and then you mentioned something about along the lines of
the church, not
the church. It was a period of a time of the church where it was very corrupt.
The 1400s, the 600s.
Yeah.
So during that time, for those 250 years, all the popes that were voted in were all Italians.
Oh.
Not even Europeans, not just European, but all of them were Italians. And during this time, the Italian popes came from the most prominent Italian families. So there was the Medici family from Florence.
Okay.
There was also the Forza family from Milan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So these families, essentially, they had a cardinal from each of these families. So,
oh wow!
At that time, it was so screwed up because, like, you could actually how they used to smuggle information in and out of conclave,
right?
Because each cardinal had their own, like, simple like appointed bedroom, like small bed,
Okay.
small table to eat on and all that, and meals will be served, right? So at that time, they used to stuff like scrolls or paper into like a hog's mouth that they had already cooked, just to send it into the cardinal's room,
Right.
requesting information, and the cardinal would literally take it out, write the information, and then put it back in. You know,
But this was
so
not allowed.
people outside, the families,
Yeah.
could essentially orchestrate who became the next pope.
Right.
Yeah, and the popes were being murdered at this time. They were being killed.
Oh wow.
Because the Pope of Rome, it wasn't even called the Pope of Vatican City at the time. At the time, during the Reformation and Renaissance period, these were the Pope was essentially in control of most of Italy, if not all.
Oh,
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So it was called the Papal States. It wasn't called Italy back then. Italy was only, I think, after World War II.
Right.
After World War One. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a very, very interesting part of history where the lines drawn, the borders drawn like Milan's borders, Florence's borders are actually thousands of years old. You know, but today it's just called Italy. Back then, during the 1300s, it was called the Papal States.
Right.
Yeah. So
Papal States.
yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
it was, and the Pope was not the Pope of Vatican City. It was the Pope of Rome.
Rome. Okay.
Yeah, you know. So it was cool. It was a very different era to live in. On top of that, a lot of the art that were commissioned by these popes are still standing today.
It's still in the church. Yeah.
Like you could go to Italy, in Rome, for example. You could drink of from a water fountain that does not have any pumps.
Oh, they're like
all
natural.
done by gravity.
Okay.
So they flow using gravity. Rome's natural aquifer system.
Wow.
You know, yeah. So it's super cool. Like even today, if you go to Rome, you can still experience this stuff. It's super cool. And when like even Rome today, when you walk around the city, you can just suddenly you walk around and you notice that there's the excavation spot, and it's just like a whole other city on the basement level of a building.
See.
You know,
okay,
that kind of thing.
That's
Because
cool.
it's like Rome, Vatican City was built on a hill. And then more and more stuff was just kept building onto the hill until what it is today. So it is what it is. Yeah,
wow.
It's a super cool area. And I think if you have an interest in history, you guys should actually take the time to observe what happens over the next week or so in Conclave. Yeah. So Conclave is about to start next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. But I mean, the process can take... You know, it can take a day or it can take weeks.
Nowadays, they don't go past a week. Nowadays, like I think since 3-4 popes ago, I don't think they go past a week. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the last one was like 2 days, 3 days. Yeah.
All right, so gonna move on to our final topic of the day. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left. I don't know how much we can cover, but basically, for a lot of our listeners, we've talked about this before. BRICS. So Malaysia is actually a part of BRICS, and there are reports that BRICS are about to expand, and the new members will include 4 new nations, which is Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and also the United Arab Emirates. And that is already 13 countries, and that is already around 41% of the world's GDP. So,
but you're missing almost that.
What was that?
How many percent of those countries are oil producers?
Oil producers.
Oil producers.
Oh, a lot.
Think about it. Yeah.
So it's a growing force to be reckoned with, I feel, because like I think it's a counter to the US, to Western countries, I feel. And it's a opportunity for these smaller countries to grow economically by working together with these countries on trade, on tourism.
Officially, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Officially, you're right. Officially, that's what they claim as well. But people who are in the know that BRICS is actually more than anything is just a method to circumvent the US
influence,
the reliance on the world economy on the US dollar.
Yes.
So if you buy oil, countries buy oil from each other, right? You have to pay in US dollars.
US dollars, yes.
Right? So this is something that Richard Nixon did when he was president in the 60s. And essentially, you have to buy, previously before BRICS, you have to buy oil in US dollars. You have to pay for it at least in US dollars. However, I think earlier this year, China bought oil from, it was either Qatar or the UAE. I think it was the UAE. And they actually paid in RMB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they actually paid for the whole thing in RMB. And UAE accepted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that impact the...
Have you not seen the stock market over the last few months?
Yeah. It's going down.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Okay, so would you argue that it's a better solution for the world economy, or is the declining, I would say the declining economy, the world economy is only temporary?
Yeah, it's just a realignment.
Realignment.
I feel in my opinion. So because oil makes the world go round.
Yeah.
You know? So there's always been, since the 60s, there's always been this saying or this thought where oil can only be equated to US dollars. You know, like you can only judge the value of oil using US dollars. But that's simply not true. Like oil is just another commodity, just like any other thing.
Yeah.
You know, and if one country wants to pay in, for example, Malaysia ringgit, and the other country accepts that Malaysia ringgit,
why not?
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't understand why we all... I mean, sure, this was a deal that was previously done by Nixon, as you mentioned. And the fact that the whole world sort of agreed to this, you know, made the US partially the power that it is now, because everyone is like trading in US dollars.
Okay. Just to pause on that point, on that exact point. Correct. But there's also a flip side that liberal economists don't like to admit about what happened there. And it also paved the way when that happened, when Nixon did that, it also paved the way for China under Deng Xiaoping to be accepted into the World Trade Organization.
Oh,
and because of that, how China struck that deal to be accepted into the World Trade Organization is essentially they said to the world's major economies, like, look, we'll take on all your manufacturing. Whatever you want to manufacture, send it to China. We're going to do it. We're going to do it cheaper for you. And that's what they did.
So that's what happened.
That's how we end up into this.
Yeah. So do you think this is a good thing for Malaysia?
If Malaysia gets its head out of its ass and start accepting our role in the world economy, then yeah.
What is our role?
I think what Malaysia should do is try to be like China and be the manufacturing center.
We should produce.
Yeah. That's what Vietnam's doing. That's what Cambodia is doing. Like what? You want to buy tudung now? Where do you go? Vietnam. You know? All these celebrities, like, you know, I'm not going to mention names, but we all know all the celebrity tudungs. Where are they getting their tudungs from? You know? They buy it at 10 ringgit over there. They sell it over here for 100 ringgit. Some even sell it for 600, 500 ringgit. You know, that kind of thing. So
we should
same thing with Indonesia also, you know. Like,
they are becoming more of a manufacturing country.
Like kain, manufacturing for raw materials for making baju and all that, right? Like for years they've been coming up. Now you go to Jakarta, for example, and I've never been, but like my mother,
you can get like very cheap
like, you know, that Kenanga Wholesale City? Here in KL? That there's like, what? Have you guys heard of it? Kenanga? Yeah. They have like 12 floors or some 13 floors. Like, it's a whole building.
It's just selling
textiles.
Oh, okay.
It's all textiles. And all from mom and pop shops. It's not like, they don't really have the jackals and all that.
Yeah.
So it's all like mom and pop shops.
Okay.
And it's like 13 floors and you can just go scour for deals there.
Right.
So Jakarta has like probably 5, 6, 7 of those. Just in Jakarta.
And all of the products that are there are produced in Indonesia. Okay. So that's what Malaysia should be doing, you think?
It's I mean, we should find a way. Like we don't offer services, and we can't rely on oil forever.
Yeah, and I think one more thing.
Even the countries that are richer in oil than we are not relying on their oil.
Yeah.
You know, look at Saudi, look at Qatar, and all that. You know, they are diversifying, and that's what we should do. Unfortunately, when we tried to diversify, you end up in 1MDB, and we all know how that went.
Okay, and I also wonder, because obviously Malaysia has a huge, I would say, land, like greenery.
Okay.
And a lot of like our exports are actually palm oil. And I wonder, like, can we create something that is more, because palm oil is not exactly the healthiest in terms of environment and in terms of food consumption. So I wonder if we can produce another, it can be either manufacturing, companies, or it can be like plants, agriculture. I wonder if we can get a more, I wouldn't say expensive, but a more, what do you call it? Like advantageous product other than palm oil for us to export to the world. Because I feel like for a lot of tourists, like especially if they flew here, they will see greeneries all over Malaysia, but a lot of them are actually like palm oil trees.
Okay.
Palm oil plantation. So I'm wondering if we should diversify from palm oil.
I don't know, man. Like I'm not too well versed on the statistics about palm oil.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know how much.
I mean, I'm not saying palm oil is an example. I'm just saying that
I get it, man. I'm not too sure how much of the GDP does palm oil contribute. You know, so I'm not too sure. But if diversifying is never a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you do it with discipline. You know, like you suddenly want to shift from an oil and gas exporter to try to be a manufacturer, you know, and then you try to manufacture 7, 8, 9 different products.
Yeah.
I don't think that can work lah.
Yeah.
You have to narrow your resources a bit to one, like focus your resources towards one industry first lah, I would say. Even if you want to diversify. So I don't know if manufacturing is right for us, considering the sentiment of a lot of Malaysians who do not want to work in factories anyways.
Yeah.
But if I don't know, if given proper incentives, if given proper compensation, I feel like, you know, it can be done.
Yeah, I feel like Malaysia has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
We have some very, what's the opposite of barren?
Fertile.
Very fertile land.
Yeah.
So like some of our fruits are probably the best in the world. Like the durian here is the best, even though I personally don't like durian, but our durian's the best. Our mangosteen's really good. We have a tremendous supply of fruits like rambutan, everything. Coconut trees, bananas. If you drive along like the coast of Malaysia, you'll see like kebun or gardens everywhere.
Then maybe the push should be marketing. You know?
Yeah.
Because like Western countries, the consumer countries, don't really consume these kind of fruits. That's one thing, you know. Like rambutan. Forget durian. You know, white people and durian, forget about that for a while. But when you talk about mangosteens or even rambutan, right? It's just not commonly consumed, at least outside of Malaysia.
Yeah, you know? Right.
And
so marketing is one of the
maybe.
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
Instead
of
of visit Malaysia year 2024.
True.
Visit Malaysia year 2026.
Yeah.
Visit Malaysia year 2028.
And they think we're just like a
tourism.
You know what I mean? So that's like
tourism is great.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, injection of funds like that is great, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Malaysia is not we're not the Maldives, you know. We're not like a completely tourism based economy, you know. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know.
Our beaches, some of them are nice, but like some of them are quite terrible. Like have you been to Port Dickson? Yeah, it's not exactly a tourist place, even though it's like near the beach. I mean, obviously we have like some amazing beaches in like Sabah, Langkawi, Tioman, and all these, Perhentian, but they're not really that well known. And in Malaysia, we only have a select amount of those kind of places that we have. It's not like in the Philippines or in Thailand where they have so many beautiful islands. You know what I mean?
I mean, look, our islands can be at least known to that level. I mean, you look at Siargao in the Philippines, for example, or even Boracay.
Boracay,
you know,
Palawan,
like these are world famous islands now.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, the fact that Tioman and Redang and even Perhentian Kecil are not known on that level is quite a shame. Especially Tioman. Because Tioman is actually quite well developed. So is Redang, you know. So
and the beaches are quite beautiful.
Yeah. Even if, like Langkawi, okay, doesn't have as nice beaches and all that, but even that is after Tun M left office. Even that was left to be whatever it could be. You know. Now private money is coming in, but no more federal funding.
Yeah, so okay, to end on a side note here, I would say, like, I think Malaysians, or if anyone is listening to this podcast, I think that we should try to take advantage of maybe not just the tourism, but take advantage of our I would say industrious and fertile land, or maybe we can create more manufacturing jobs here in Malaysia and, you know, help boost the economy. We don't want to depend on monies like 1MDB because, you know what I mean?
No, I mean, if it's managed correctly.
Yes, if it's managed correctly, then it would be great. But unfortunately, I don't want to say anything.
Like Norwegians, for example, right? Norwegians have their own version of 1MDB. And every Norwegian that is born, the moment they are born, they're a millionaire. The moment they are born, they are already a millionaire. That's how you work. That's how it works in a socialist mono-racial country where there's only white people, basically. You know? So you can do that. And there's no immigration. So you can do that. But that doesn't work here. Party comes in like what? 2 million a year. And you want to keep Prata Azin.
Okay.
You know? They come in like by the numbers of 2 million a year. And you keep adding 2 million that you have to manage and turn into millionaires, you know. That doesn't work.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Time flew really quickly just now. I didn't even realize it was like 50 plus minutes.
It's an hour.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, as usual, to anyone that's watching, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any issues that you think we can talk about or we should talk about, please let us know. And of course, we're not actually news correspondents. So
I saw that. A little dust up.
Yeah, I love like I have all the time in the world for
that
Zionists.
Dude that commented that was saying was fake. I'm sorry, but even CNN has posted about that.
Yeah.
So CNN, Fox News, they've all posted about the
dancing Israelis.
I don't know if they were Israelis, but they were definitely Hasidic guys with
yes.
They were definitely Jews. They were definitely Jews. Yeah.
To clarify, we did not say that they were involved in 9/11.
No.
We were just asking. We were just asking questions. Why were they dancing?
Yeah.
Why were they dancing? So that's all we were thinking about. So.
Check your facts, dude.
All right. Okay. That's all for our episode today. See you guys at the next one. Ciao.
Peace.